Well, I've been called a false teacher, and that I'm on my way to hell for a previous video that I made. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see a thumbnail of that video. If you go down to the comments, you'll get a link to it. Well, what did I say, and how did they respond to what I said? John 15 in the New King James Version mistranslates the Greek. Here it is. John 15, 1 and 2. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. What a merciless view of the Father, according to the English. That while you are in Jesus, if you're not producing fruit, if you're not getting holy, God's going to pull you out and throw you away. Not what the Greek says at all. The Greek does not say he takes away. The Greek verb airo means to lift up. And if you look again at your screen, you'll see that the New King James translators put a footnote next to the words takes away, and you go down to the bottom and they will tell you what the Greek word actually means. Let's read it again. Look at the footnote this time. Verse 2. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he, see the letter A? Look down the bottom. A, John 15:2, lifts up. Wow. Let's put those words in that verse. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts up. The vine dresser lifts up, doesn't pluck you out and throw you away. My cousin Santo had a farm and orchard at Orchard Hills near Penrith in Sydney. I used to frequently visit him during the spring. I went there one particular day, and the vine dresser, my cousin Santo, was there tending to the vineyard. And I went, "Hey, Santo, cugino, how you going? Come stavas? How you going?" And my cousin Santo would reply in a very strong southern Italian Calabrese accent, "Hey, cugino, vieni qua, come here, come here." He was working the vineyard, and I saw him working during spring. And I noticed that all the branches. If you'd like to help get messages like these out into the world, please subscribe, click the thumbs up and the notifications button, and this will tap right into YouTube's algorithm, and then these messages will get circulated right around the globe. Please consider it. God bless you. Attached to the vine, the grapevine, were growing that way in spring, on the ground, covered in mud, in the dirt. And there he was with a bucket of water, gently washing these branches in the vine that were growing sideways, were on the dirt, and he's washing them. And I said, "Santo, what are you doing?" "Cugino, every spring, all of the branches that come out of the vine, but they don't grow up. They grow this way into the dirt. I get the water and I wash off all the dirt. And then I pick it up. I lift it up with my hands, gentle, because they bruise, they break, no good. So I wash it gentle, and then I gentle pick it up. I lift it up, and I put it on the vine, under the trestle. And then you go to strong to the sun, and I make it the grape, and then we make it the vino, and then we have the party. Folks, that's what a vine dresser does to vines. Branches in the vine that are growing outwards in the dirt, they get gently lifted up so they make the grape. That's what the vine dresser does. Well, what's the objection? The objection is this. Santo, you're taking these verses completely out of context, because Jesus repeats himself in verses 5 and 6, and he makes it very clear that these branches that are not producing fruit get thrown into the fire. You're wrong, Santo. Let's read verse 2 and then verses 5 and 6. Listen. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. Verse 2. Verse 5, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. Without me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast away, see, as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. See, Santo, you've used this verse out of context. Jesus explained what he means in verse 2. You get thrown away and into the fire. That's what happens to you. No. As we read these verses carefully, Jesus describes 3 kinds of branches. 2 are in him. 1 is not in him. Let's look at verse 2 again. Every branch in me, every branch that is in me. What kind are there? There are 2. Look. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts up, not takes away. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts up. And every branch in me that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Well, he's talking about 2 kinds of branches that are in him. One's producing fruit, and one is not. The one in him that's not producing fruit, he lifts it up so it can bear fruit. And the ones that are already lifted up and are bearing fruit, he cuts them back. He prunes to produce more fruit. Both branches are in the vine. Both branches are in the vine. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he lifts it up. And every branch in me that bears fruit, he prunes so it makes more fruit. Verse 6 is talking about a third group. And they're not in the vine. Look at verse 6. If anyone does not abide in me, does not abide in me, not in me, not in me, not in me. They're not in the vine. The vine are not in the branches. Not this one. If anyone does not abide in me. Well, if you're not abiding in, you're not in. These ones that are not in the vine, they get thrown into the fire. So you've got 3 groups of branches. 2 in verse 2, both are in. The ones that are not producing fruit, lifts them up to produce fruit. Those ones that are producing fruit and are in, they're both in, he prunes back to produce fruit. But then those who do not abide in me, well, if you're not abiding in Jesus, you're not in. They get thrown into the fire. Well, you might be thinking, well, that's not nice. For the purposes of this teaching, there are 3 kinds of branches. 2 are in, 1's not in. The 2 that are in are tended to produce fruit. The ones that don't abide in me, they're not in, they get thrown into the fire. What does that mean? What does it mean they get thrown into the fire? If you want to know, why don't you subscribe to my page? Click the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit notifications, so that when I do get to what does it mean that the ones who are out of the vine, they were in and now they're out. They were in the vine, now they're out. They get thrown into the fire. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean they get thrown into fire and get burned up? I've got good news for you. If you want to know, subscribe to my channel. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notifications, and then you'll know when I deal with this. By doing this as well, we will tap into the algorithm of YouTube, and then YouTube will send these messages out to the world. God bless you.